Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how I built my dream gaming PC. So I started building this PC sometime around September 1st week of 2020, and today is January 24th, Sunday. So the configuration which I have currently is slightly different than what I built. So at that time when I was building my PC, Nvidia just announced the RTX 30 series. So I initially built my PC with the RTX 2060. Then when I got my RTX 3080, I think somewhere around November last week, I switched it up with RTX 3080, and so all the B-roll and all the footage you just saw is from RTX 3080 built in. So this is the setup I used to build my PC. For the motherboard, I went with the ASUS ROG Strix X570E gaming. Processor, I used the AMD Ryzen 7 3700X, 1TB SSD from AdLink. It had a pretty good read and write speed and also has pretty good reviews on Amazon. For the RAM, I went with 216GB Corsair Vengeance Pro, which is RGB, and it has like DDR4 and has a base speed of 3200 MHz. CPU case, I went with the GXT H710i. I was looking for something red and black to go with my overall like aesthetic purpose, so I went with this case, which is pretty good. Coming to the CPU cooler, I went with the Corsair RGB Pro XT, and for the power supply, it is also like Corsair HX850 80 plus platinum standard. So for the GPU which you are seeing currently, it's the RTX 2060 which I used for my initial build, and later I switched it up to AORUS GeForce RTX 3080. So we have our motherboard here, and what I'm going to do is install the processor. One thing, it comes with a cooler, but since I'm not using the stock CPU cooler, so I've already kept it aside. So this is the Ryzen 7, got a cool sticker, the processor, and you can see the gold plated pins. It's pretty sick. Alright, what I'm going to do is remove this pin. You see this little golden arrow here, so we have to align it like this. Alright, I'm gonna I've seen this in a couple of videos, so we don't have to touch anything apart from the sides. And yep, that's it. Nothing needs to be done. Then I just... Alright, so that is it. I believe so. This is the easiest part. So our processor is installed successfully. So right now what we can do is install our SSD and RAM. So this is the Corsair Vengeance Pro RGB, DDR4, and I've got like 216 gigs. Ooh boy, look at that. So I was looking for the M2 slot to install the SSD, and I couldn't able to find it, and later I was just referring to all the fun stuff. And it looks like we have to remove this panel so that we can install the SSD and then we can put it back on. Okay, so this is the panel I was talking about. I need to remove this one. Install it like this. Do I need to push it? Yep, I believe I need to push it a bit. Yep, that's the problem with the small ones. It is nice and tight. We are done with the SSD. So let's put back this one. Alright guys, so we're done with the processor, RAM and the SSD. The SSD took some time because we have to remove that panel. I was not expecting that panel to be there. So the M2 slot was underneath the panel. So now we are all good. So pretty much everything is installed. Let's open up the case. This is fucking heavy. Believe it's 14 or 15 pounds. But the main thing is with the box it is easier to lift. So let me open this back panel. Okay, so now it's going to be a lot of work. So this is the back panel. I need to open up the front panel as well. Ooh, it's coming off. I was looking for other things, like I was not sure, like by removing the one screw it will come off, but yep, it came off. The things you learn if you are building a new PC for the first time. So this is glass, not plastic. So I have to be really careful in putting this somewhere safe. Alright, so now I have to fit this. So that is perfect guys. So I don't know if you can see it. So let me just... Alright, so the motherboard is all lined up and we are going to use the 632. Took me some time, but the motherboard is all aligned and it's perfectly in place. So I tightened up all the screws. So there was one problem with the screw on the top right. It was not properly aligned, so I have to remove pretty much everything and align it properly. Now it's all done. Alright, so this is all aligned. Quick run through processor 1616 and I have the SSD in here, and this is one more fan for the motherboard. This is the cooler we are going to use. The side, on the side, always on the side. Alright guys, got the USB. We're going to need it later. I think we need these for the AMD. This is the interesting part right here. Okay, so the thermal paste is already pre-applied, so I don't have to worry about applying thermal paste. So I need to remove these and replace it with AM4 one. Oh boy, these are tight. Alright. Oh boy, this side is really tight. Alright, it's finally came off. Let me put this back. Push this. Okay. The radiator fans are all set. So installing a liquid cooler is not that hard. The tricky part is just figuring out the placement. Alright guys, so this is all fixed. I fixed the radiator and the fans. So as I told earlier, like depending upon how it looks, I might change the fans later based upon the whole RGB and the case. So the case comes with an RGB strip already, like it's right up here. So based upon like how it looks, once I keep this entire thing running, then I can, you know, try and figure it out, like if I need more RGB or not. Took me some time to install this cooler, but it's finally done. So as I said earlier, like installing is pretty much straightforward, but the problem I had was really like figuring it out, like where to place this radiator. So right now the installation of cooler is complete, and I've installed those remaining fans. So the top 3 fans what you're seeing here, those were previously on the front panel, so I've replaced these at the top. So everything looks good now. So the cooler is installed and we've connected the USB cable as well as CPU up top. I'm pretty much done with the cooler. So what we are going to do is install the PSU. Right, we have the HX850. Let's open this up. We have some installation guides, and there's the PSU. Alright, so we connected pretty much everything. These are from the top panel which we need to connect, and this one right here. So go into motherboard, and I should check for the USB 3 part. So now comes the least interesting part in any PC build, that is cable management. It took me a couple of hours to properly align all the cables and make sure everything stays in its place. So when I posted the system for the first time, it did not start. The reason was I have the 24 pin connected to the motherboard, and I also had the 8 pin and also the 6 pin I believe connected, and that was causing the issue. So I removed the 6 pin from the top of the motherboard and everything worked fine. So it took me a while, I think maybe like a few hours to determine what went wrong. I tried to update the BIOS a few times, but that also didn't work. Then I tried plugging in the 24 pin first and the CPU pin, and I just removed the 6 pin from the motherboard and everything worked fine. So once it's posted, I had to make sure like everything looks good, that is the processor, motherboard, RAM and SSD information is displaying correctly, and afterwards it was just a matter of installing Windows, and that's pretty much it. So that's it. It was a lot of fun building the PC for the first time. I certainly learned like a lot of things, and if you're looking to build a new PC, just go for it instead of buying one. I almost bought the Alienware Aurora class. Well, it's a great gaming desktop, but you know, I wanted to build something for the first time. So yep, it's going on pretty good, and I'll be doing a second video on like what are the mistakes I made, so that if you are building it for the first time, you can avoid it. Have a good day.